You mentioned the film. Last question I'll get in before I get some of the callers. You mentioned the film Dear White People. Super popular, talked about weekly basis throughout 2014. Got a big review in the New York Times. I was able to see the film earlier this month. I told people that I thought the last 7 minutes of the film, that in my opinion is the most important part that really gets to the core of what that film is all about, and where I would go with a lot of my critiques. I think you said, if I recall, that you felt it was not intellectually honest, and it didn't sound like you were a fan of the work. If you had to give your synopsis and what you perceive to be incorrect about the film, what would you say?
I would say all of it's incorrect. I mean, you see, this is the thing. It's a post-racial film dressed up as a critical commentary about blackness, which is not. It's a biracial black woman who at the end disowns all racial signification and calls herself an anarchist that's utilizing racial pressures to expose what she's claiming is white racism and, I guess, black people's interest at different levels of that racism. And I'm just, I'm looking at this film like, well, who made her God or the chess master so that she could position black bodies how she wants? You know what I mean? And then at the end of the film, and this the most insulting part is, so the radical black people walk by her when she's holding hands with the white boy, and they're looking like, wait, what is this about? But her relationship with the white boy is then based on her relationship with her white father, which is unresolved throughout the movie, right? So if you look at this film then, it also articulates that the power of whiteness, even when it's just a half whiteness, is to direct black bodies towards certain political ends. She gets to create the mess at the party. She gets to put people on blast. She gets to decide how these things are going to be interpreted. At the end of the day, she decides, well, race is not that important. I'm a person, and I'm going to be with the white man who has the most critical view and lens in the whole project, in the whole film. So every other black person, the black student president, he's doing it because he wants to live up to his dad. His dad wants to be a white man who's internalized the idea of racism to such an extent that he still works for him, though he's competing against him, even though he's smarter. And he recognizes this. The black son doesn't like this. He tries to go against it. You have the black guy, what about Chris? Dealing with issues of sexual identification and his own fear of black people, which is why his hair keeps growing out. Like, come on, man. Like, do we really believe that the idea of black people is so alienated from itself, that it's so pathologically distanced from itself, that everything is only about our identity, that everything's just about how we identify ourselves to white people so that we get somewhere? And if that's true, if we truly believe that, then we're in much deeper trouble than we can even believe. Because I can't believe that black people become so dictated and determined by these types of things that they can't have a reflective moment in the whole film and do something different, but the biracial white person can. So whiteness in that film is the power to reason. It's the power to reflect and change, whereas every other black person in the film becomes simply the static object that gets to be manipulated by the power and the faculty of the person, of the biracial black woman, that can change as she will. And that's a problem for me.
Yeah, I was supremely suspicious of that film as soon as I saw the attention it got at Sundance last year, and then, as I said, it got a huge positive review in the New York Times, and it was white people couldn't find enough accolades for this film. That immediately had me suspicious, and then once I actually was able to see the film, all of my suspicions were confirmed. Particularly, as I said, that the scene that you mentioned, for folks who have not seen the film, this non-white female with a white parent, like the climax of the film, she disses the black people that she's been protesting with to literally walk off into the sunset holding hands with this white man that she's in a sexual arrangement with. And it's like she gives it's a double entendre. She apologizes to him and symbolically her white father at the same time for being like a rowdy Negro, and she'll get her act together and stop associating with these other Negroes and be a well-behaved non-white female with a white I mean, I can see why white people would love a project like that.
Well, yeah, because the one thing that stays stable in the whole thing is whiteness. Right? I mean, think about the very end of the film when the black guy says he wants to do a reality show, right, about the college.
Right.
And a black guy was like, he stood on integrity. No, we can't do it. What did the white guy say? Yeah, we'll do it. So the whole film shows you that whiteness dictates everything. The reason that the black girl, gets the blonde hair and goes to the white boy's party, whiteness. The reason the black dude wants to be accepted, whiteness is the background of everything. The only difference is she, because she's half white, gets to mediate that world. So black people get to feel a certain way. White people at the end of the film still have all the power. That's not a success story. You know what I mean? And then she ends up with the white man who is historically the most powerful being within these structures and gets to call it love. That's not a success story. It's like Scandal. Like you don't win because you get to be the Jezebel or sexual object of the white man. That's not a reformulation. That's you saying that there's pride to be had in being the sexual object of a white man. There's nothing critical about that.
Exactly.
But we dress it up with all this language, and somehow it becomes special.
Exactly. I felt like I've seen this ending quite a few times where there's racial strife and everything is taken care of by some quote unquote interracial relationship by the time the credits hit the screen. Like, this is the same ending in Soul Man that came out in the 80s with Ray Don Chong. Same ending pretty much for Monsters Ball, where Halle Berry and Billy Bob Thornton are out eating ice cream on the porch together. Like, I've seen this a lot, that if we just get in bed together, that'll fix everything and we'll be moving forward and white power will have been corrected somehow.